Spartacus's army wasn't just slaves, it was a coalition of the desperate. In the shadow of Rome's power, people from all walks of life found themselves united by a common enemy. The rebellion drew in not only those who had been chained and forced to labor, but also those who had once been free, now crushed by debt, poverty, or the harshness of Roman rule. The campfires of Spartacus's army flickered with stories of loss, hope, and a burning desire for justice. Freeborn farmers, shepherds, and even Roman deserters joined, united by anger at a system that crushed them all. Many of these men had lost their land to wealthy elites or been conscripted into endless wars, only to return home to nothing. Shepherds, used to the wild hills, brought knowledge of the land. Deserting soldiers brought military experience and tactics. Together they formed a force that was both unpredictable and resilient, bound by a shared sense of injustice. This mix brought strength, local knowledge, skills, and a shared hunger for change. The rebels learned to move swiftly through the countryside, using the terrain to their advantage. They pooled their skills, from blacksmithing to strategy, and built a community where everyone had a role. The sense of unity was powerful, but it was also fragile, held together by the hope that they could build a better future. But it also meant clashing motives. Some wanted escape, others revenge, a few dreamed of conquering Rome. Tensions simmered beneath the surface. For some, freedom was enough. For others, only the total destruction of their oppressors would satisfy. These differences sometimes led to heated arguments and difficult decisions, as the leaders struggled to keep the movement united. The Roman elite, blinded by arrogance, dismissed the uprising as a minor slave problem. They believed their armies could crush the rebels with ease, failing to see the deeper unrest spreading through the countryside. In their marble halls, senators debated and scoffed, convinced that Rome's power was unshakable. This underestimation would prove to be a costly mistake. That mistake gave Spartacus time to organize, arm, and transform his followers into a real fighting force. He drilled his men relentlessly, teaching them discipline and tactics borrowed from Rome itself. Makeshift weapons were forged, and the ragtag group began to resemble a true army. The rebels' determination grew with every victory, and their numbers swelled as word spread of their defiance. The alliance of slaves and free poor explains why the revolt lasted so long and shook Rome to its core. This was not a simple uprising, but a movement that tapped into the anger and frustration of thousands. The rebels built fortifications, marched across Italy, and defeated Roman armies sent to crush them. Their resilience forced Rome to confront the reality that its own people could become its greatest threat. Spartacus's story is about thousands daring to imagine a new world, not just one man's fight. Around him, people who had once been powerless found their voices and their courage. They dreamed of a life beyond chains and poverty, and for a brief moment they believed it was possible. The hope that united them was as powerful as any weapon. It was a war that revealed the deep cracks in the Roman Republic. The rebellion exposed the injustice and inequality at the heart of Roman society, forcing the world's greatest empire to reckon with its own failings. Spartacus's revolt was more than a battle. It was a warning that even the mightiest can be shaken when the oppressed stand together. Spartacus was a Thracian, fierce, independent, and likely a former Roman auxiliary. Born in the rugged lands of Thrace, he grew up surrounded by conflict and hardship, learning the art of survival from an early age. The Thracians were known for their warrior spirit, and Spartacus embodied this reputation, standing out even among his own people for his strength and determination. His early years were marked by struggle, but also by a deep sense of pride and resilience that would shape his destiny. His military experience and intelligence set him apart, making him a natural leader even before the revolt. Spartacus served as an auxiliary in the Roman army, where he gained first-hand knowledge of Roman tactics, discipline, and organization. This experience gave him a unique perspective. He understood both the strengths and weaknesses of Rome's military machine. His sharp mind and ability to read the battlefield made him respected by allies and feared by enemies. Even in captivity, he never lost his sense of purpose. Sold as a gladiator, he endured brutality but inspired others with his charisma and hope for freedom. The life of a gladiator was harsh and unforgiving, filled with violence and constant danger, yet Spartacus refused to be broken. He became a beacon of hope for his fellow slaves, showing them that courage and unity could defy even the might of Rome. His presence in the arena was electrifying, and his spirit unbreakable. In the Ludus, he was more than a fighter. He was a strategist, uniting Gauls, Germans, and Italians under one cause. Spartacus saw beyond tribal differences, forging alliances among men who once saw each other as rivals. He built trust and camaraderie, convincing them that together they could challenge their oppressors. His vision transformed a group of desperate men into a brotherhood with a shared dream of freedom. Spartacus led from the front, earning loyalty by sharing danger and hardship. He fought alongside his men, never asking them to face risks he would not take himself. This courage inspired fierce devotion, and his followers were willing to fight and die for him. His leadership was not just about strategy, it was about heart, and the willingness to sacrifice for a greater cause. He was the architect of rebellion, not just its symbol. Spartacus planned daring escapes, orchestrated ambushes, and outmaneuvered Roman legions time and again. His ability to adapt and innovate kept his enemies off balance, and his vision gave the rebellion purpose and direction. He was both the mind and the spirit behind the uprising. The Romans saw him as a bandit, but he was a brilliant general. To the Senate and the patricians, Spartacus was a threat to the very order of Rome, a man who dared to defy the world's greatest power. But to his followers, he was a hero, a leader who gave them hope and a chance at a new life. They underestimated him, and paid dearly for it. Time after time, Roman forces were defeated by his tactics and the determination of his army. Spartacus's victories sent shockwaves through the Republic, forcing Rome to confront the reality of its own vulnerability. Spartacus's leadership turned a desperate band into a disciplined army. He instilled order, discipline, and a sense of purpose, transforming slaves and outcasts into a formidable fighting force. Under his command, they became more than rebels, they became a symbol of resistance. He showed Rome the true cost of oppression. Spartacus's rebellion was a warning, a reminder that even the most powerful empire could be shaken by those it sought to crush. His legacy endures as a testament to the power of hope, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. The revolt erupted at the gladiator school in Capua, a powder keg of violence and despair. Spartacus, Crixus, and Enemaus led a breakout, arming themselves with kitchen tools before seizing a wagon of real weapons. They escaped to Mount Vesuvius, using its slopes as a natural fortress. From there they raided estates, drawing slaves and the dispossessed to their cause. The rebellion swelled from 70 to thousands almost overnight. Roman authorities responded with a local militia, underestimating the threat. Meanwhile, Spartacus's group trained, forged weapons, and organized. The spark in Capua became a wildfire. Rome had no idea how big the blaze would get. The rebels were no longer fugitives, they were an army. The war had truly begun. Spartacus's army exploded in size because Rome was deeply unequal. Slaves joined for freedom and revenge against brutal masters. Free poor, dispossessed farmers and herdsmen, joined out of anger at the elite who controlled everything. For slaves, it was a fight for humanity. For the free poor, a fight against aristocratic power. This coalition brought numbers, local knowledge, and discipline. Spartacus forged them into a real army, sharing spoils and enforcing discipline. He even banned gold and silver to prevent greed. The camp became a new society, united by hope and necessity. The rebellion was more than a slave revolt, it was a social revolution. Rome now faced a force it barely understood. Rome's first response was laughably weak, a praetor with a militia, not real legions. Glaber tried to starve the rebels on Vesuvius, but Spartacus outsmarted him, escaping down a cliff and attacking the Roman camp by surprise. The Romans were annihilated, the rebels seized weapons and morale soared. Rome sent another force, but Spartacus outmaneuvered and defeated them too. Even a praetor's insignia and horse were captured, an unprecedented insult. The rebels now controlled southern Italy, armed and emboldened. 2 Roman armies had fallen, the crisis was undeniable. The minor problem had become a national emergency. Spartacus's victories electrified the oppressed and terrified the elite. Rome's pride was shattered. By 72 BC, Spartacus's force was a migrating nation, tens of thousands strong, including families. Their goal escaped north over the Alps to freedom. Rome finally sent both consuls with full legions to trap them, but internal divisions split the rebels. Crixus and his followers broke away and were destroyed. Spartacus avenged them, defeating both consular armies in rapid succession. He even staged gladiatorial games with Roman prisoners, reversing the roles of master and slave. With the road north open, Spartacus defeated another Roman army and reached the Alps. Freedom was within reach. The rebellion had humiliated Rome's best. Spartacus had achieved his goal, if only he'd kept going. The fate of the revolt now hung on a single decision. At the brink of escape, Spartacus turned south instead of crossing the Alps. Maybe his army wanted more plunder, or he hoped for a wider revolt. This gave Rome time to regroup and appoint Crassus, a ruthless, ambitious commander. Crassus restored discipline with brutal decimation, forging a fearful but effective army. He relentlessly pursued Spartacus, trapping him in southern Italy. Spartacus tried to escape to Sicily, but pirates betrayed him. Crassus built a massive wall, penning the rebels in. The hunter had become the hunted. The war entered its deadliest phase. The noose was tightening around Spartacus. As the cold night pressed in, Spartacus and his followers found themselves trapped behind the formidable walls built by Crassus. Supplies had dwindled, hope was fading, and the once mighty rebel army was starving. Yet, in a moment of sheer determination, Spartacus rallied his men for a desperate gamble. Under the cover of darkness, they launched a daring assault, breaking through the Roman fortifications in a chaotic and courageous escape. But the escape came at a heavy price. The rebels, now exhausted and scattered, were relentlessly hunted by three powerful Roman armies. Crassus's legions pressed from behind, while Pompey and Lucullus closed in from the north and south, leaving Spartacus's forces weakened, divided, and with nowhere left to run. Realizing that time was running out, Spartacus gathered his remaining commanders. He knew that if he waited any longer, the combined might of Rome would crush them completely. With grim resolve, he decided to force a final, decisive battle before Pompey and Lucullus could join the fight. On the banks of the Scylla River, Spartacus made a powerful gesture. He killed his own horse, declaring that he would either win victory or die alongside his men. This act inspired his followers, binding them together in a final stand against overwhelming odds. With a roar, Spartacus led the charge himself, cutting down Roman centurions in his path. The rebels fought with every ounce of strength they had left, determined to break through to Crassus and end the war on their own terms. But the Roman lines held firm, and Spartacus could not reach his enemy. The rebels fought with desperate courage, refusing to surrender even as the odds grew impossible. Roman discipline, training, and sheer numbers slowly turned the tide. The battlefield became a scene of brutal, close-quarters combat, where every inch was paid for in blood. In the heart of the carnage, Spartacus fell, his body never found, lost among the countless dead. His dream of freedom died with him, swallowed by the violence of the battlefield. The rebel army collapsed. Thousands were killed where they stood, while others were hunted down in the days that followed. The survivors faced a grim fate at the hands of their conquerors. As dawn broke over the empty battlefield, the great revolt was over. The fields were silent, save for the crows and the weary victors. Rome had crushed the uprising, but the victory came at a terrible cost. The land was scarred, and the memory of Spartacus's rebellion would haunt the Republic for years to come. Yet, Rome's retribution was not finished. The final act of vengeance was still to come, as the world would soon witness the fate reserved for those who dared to defy the might of Rome. Crassus crucified 6,000 survivors along the Appian Way, a warning etched in blood. The horror shocked Rome and shaped its politics. Pompey claimed credit, fueling a rivalry that would help end the Republic. The war forced Rome to rethink slavery. Some landowners shifted to free tenant farmers, fearing another revolt. Spartacus's rebellion exposed the Republic's deep injustices. He became a symbol of resistance, showing that even the oppressed can shake an empire. His defeat didn't erase his achievement. The echoes of his struggle still challenge us to consider justice and freedom. History's lessons are found in stories like Spartacus's, where the fight for dignity never truly ends.